Hannah, we'll start with you here right off the top. Do the Mets need to make drastic changes to their core this offseason?
Okay, I think a couple things can be true. One is that this season was a colossal failure. The defense was oftentimes sloppy. They played without urgency. They obviously lacked the necessary starting pitching. But the offense was pretty good. They were a top 5 offense in all of baseball by WRC+. If you look at their Pythag records, or what they should have won based on runs allowed and runs scored, they should have been, I think, an 86-win team, which is not fantastic, but it would have made the postseason. We'd be having a very different conversation right now. So I don't know that they necessarily need to blow up the position player core or kind of make changes just for the sake of making changes. I think what David Stearns was alluding to is the fact that they have a lot of players right now who you want to keep their bat in the lineup, but it feels like they need to maybe move down that defensive scale in terms of leverage, defensive leverage. And to me, that maybe looks like Brandon Nimmo is a salary dump trade candidate if you can, because you want to just clear up a little bit of space to improve your defense, but you can't just go around the diamond and look at every position player and say, all right, we want to keep that much offense that we were getting out of Pete Alonso, for instance, but improve the defense, because there aren't just, 5-tool players all over baseball. You can't plug in a 5-tool player at all 9 positions. So I think they should look for where they can unclog maybe the log jam, but not be too drastic in how they look to reshape the lineup.
Yeah, the difficulty on that is, like, he talked all about run prevention yesterday, right? There was nothing about, hey, we need to keep our offense and be better on the run prevention. It was just like run prevention. And if you look at the offensive guys, like you're talking about, Hannah, most of those guys are below average defensively, right? Soto is below average defensively. Nimmo has been. Alonso has been. And they got to really improve the defense. And so, to your point, like, 2 of those guys are probably not going anywhere. Lindor's got a full no trade now. He had a 15-team no trade, but now he's a 10-5 guy as of this year. So he has complete control where he goes. Soto, obviously, full no trade. And so you need Pete. Like, how can you go without Pete? I mean, they may decide to do that, but to your point, Brandon Nimmo is the one that maybe has the most flexibility. He also has a full no trade too, though. So you look at those 4 guys, like, it's really difficult to move any of them without, maybe getting something in hand. It doesn't mean you don't try. It doesn't mean you couldn't go to them and say, listen, we think this would be a better situation. What would it take to allow us to trade you here? And you could do it that way, but it's exponentially more difficult making those type of deals. And I think it's hard to think that 2 of those guys would be gone, maybe 1,
right.
And then adding to it is the way I kind of view it.
So here's the predicament. Juan Soto's not going anywhere. We all can agree on that. Francisco Lindor, all the talk all season is he's going to be the next captain of the New York Mets. He had this amazing 2024 season, 2025, still a 30-30 guy. He's not going anywhere. Most Met fans are of the mindset that they want Pete Alonso back. So when you have those 3, that's the main infrastructure of your core. Now, are there pieces such as Mark Vientos, Jeff McNeil? You mentioned the difficulty in trying to move a guy like Brandon Nimmo. That, to me, Sal, is where changes need to be made, because the bottom line for the Mets is we can talk about, yes, Hannah, they should have been, in theory, an 86-win team, and yes, that would have qualified for making the postseason. A year ago, they were in the NLCS. They gave Juan Soto $1 billion, and they missed the playoffs. When that happens and you're an organization, you can't look at the team and say, everything's okay. We're running it back. GM's the same. Manager's the same. Players are the same. Can't do it.
Right.
Can't do it. The optic is not there. So something within the infrastructure of the team has got to be different.
And odds are those 4 guys, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Duke, those 4 guys, Nimmo, Soto, Lindor, Alonso, will never produce to the level that they did together again for variation of reasons. Could be bad luck, guys getting older, whatever. I would look to trade Lindor. It's not because I don't think Lindor is any good. It's because I try to get ahead of it. I still think there's great value there. I don't know if he would accept it or not.
I don't think he would.
And okay, fair enough, but he's also declining defensively, which is a primary reason here. Right. If you can't, then it's got to be Nimmo and Alonso, if not one or the other. Now, I would my priority would be to bring Alonso back, to pair him with Soto, and then build around that core. But I'd also do it as a DH, which can enhance your defense. I don't know how you can keep all 4 of those guys, Jim, and upgrade the defense. I don't think it's possible.
It's not possible at all, unfortunately. And I think, to your point on Lindor, trying to convince him to do that, I think, would be difficult. But one of the things that David Stern said was maybe moving some of those guys in their position. So, and I don't think Lindor is a guy that you move to third base necessarily, but he could be a guy at second if you got a better shortstop, as one example. You can move Soto to left field and improve on the center field and right field defense. There are ways to do it that way. Like you mentioned, Alonso maybe DH. I think those all should be in play. And it kind of felt like when David was talking about that yesterday that he was going to consider any or all of those things.
The issue, I think, with moving on from Lindor is it's hard to sign in free agency a player who is good both offensively and defensively because they're necessarily going to be older. They've reached free agency. So you can feel like Lindor is starting to decline defensively, and that's just what happens when you age. And that maybe the replacement sort of has to come from within. But I think like what Beatty, Mauricio, Acuna, do you like any of those at shortstop? Because I don't know who else you're replacing.
No, they'd have to get one. I mean, maybe Jet Williams, they'd have to get one. Let's just say that they can't trade Lindor. They don't want to. He doesn't want to go anywhere. Then, to me, it would either be Nimmo or Alonso have to be DH, and the other one has to go. Like, there's no other way to do it.
I think you don't want Nimmo at DH because to me it feels like you have Alonso and at some point Soto is going to have to DH.
Right.
You don't need anyone clogging up your DH spot, I think, who is a worse hitter than, let's say, Pete Alonso, because your other option is Juan Soto, who's a really good hitter. So I think you either bring back Alonso and he's your DH and you look to improve your defense at first base, or you let Alonso walk, maybe you let Vientos DH a little bit, and you know that at some point Juan Soto is your DH.